Hello and welcome to the Hoopheads podcast. It's Mike Klinzing here with my co-host Jason Sunkel tonight.
We're here to talk about a
And
championship, right, Mike?
oh yeah, championship.
The
LeBron's
Columbus
got one.
Crew,
Jordan
the Columbus
Jordan's got
Crew,
none.
the
Who?
Columbus
What?
Crew, the Columbus
Is that
Crew.
baseball? Is that baseball? Is
The
that the Indians
soccer,
farm team? What?
Major League
Soccer?
Soccer. They won the championship on Saturday. That was the
They
championship
did?
we're talking about, right? The
Really?
MLS
Is
Cup.
Beckham on that team?
No, but a kid who went to Olmsted Falls is on that team.
Messi? Ronaldinho? Ronaldo? Ronnie? Pele? Is Pele on
No,
that team? No,
no,
no Pele.
Pele's. I don't think Pele's alive anymore, Mike.
Maradona?
I think we've touched on this.
No.
I thought that's not the championship you wanted to talk about first.
Zenedine Zidane? Isn't he the guy who
No,
headbutted a bunch of people?
yeah,
Wasn't he the guy
he's a
who
coach
headbutted a
now.
bunch of people?
Yeah,
Oh, is he?
he
All right,
is.
great, perfect.
He's coaching somewhere. I remember
All right,
seeing
I
that.
like it. I like it.
So
I got
so there,
nothing, man. I didn't even know
it's,
there was a. I don't even know. Well, Columbus
they
Crew
beat the Los Angeles Football Club, who was the
What about the
defending
Portland
champions.
Breakers? The Portland Breakers.
I know the Seattle Sounders because Drew Carey is a partial owner of that team.
I thought we were going to talk Otani.
700 mil for 10 years, but they're all deferring it. They're deferring it. You
Yeah,
saw that, right?
deferring 2 million, 2 million a year. It's really only
The Bob
446.
the
I
Bobby
read a whole
Bonilla
article on the Ringer
contract.
about it. I read a whole article about it on the Ringer just
It's the
because
Bobby
I
Bon
was curious. Yeah, Bonilla. Every 25, what he get? He got paid for it, or he was getting. Is that over yet? I know it's 25 years he was getting. 2035.
2035, buddy.
Nice work,
2035,
Bonilla.
buddy.
Bonilla. That's a good move by him, man. Really crafty contract. I like it.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So let's get to the real NBA stuff. Uh, so I had that planned for Saturday night. If we recorded, I was gonna be like, we're here to talk about the Columbus Crew Championship. So I had to use it still. I felt like I
Well, good.
needed to.
That's a good line. It's a good line.
All right. So, anyways, the NBA in-season tournament. The Los Angeles Lakers are your in-season champion, and as it's been pointed out, he now has one more NBA in-season tournament championship than Michael Jordan. So he is therefore the GOAT, right, Mike?
Absolutely. There's no question. That cements it right there. You hoist
Oh
that cup,
no,
and
I will say this though, Mike. Like the NBA couldn't have asked for a poster child than the Lakers winning it. Like and they deserved it, honestly. Like they played hard. I thought like not necessarily in the finals game, but LeBron in the semifinals game was clearly the best I've seen LeBron James play in probably 4 or 5 years, right? Would you say that that was the most complete game? Like going back to it when he was with the Cavs, like that's got to be the most like you think game 1 of the 2018 NBA finals, okay? That LeBron, that was as close to that as we've seen him in the last 5 years, honestly. Like I was just blown away in the semifinal game. And that's saying a lot because he's been so good, like consistently good. But I just felt like whatever he wanted, he could get on the offensive floor and on the defensive end. It's like these guys are being guarded by, what is he, 38 or 39? Like he was locked in, the most locked in I've seen in his whole Laker run, in my opinion. Honestly,
I mean, maybe not the championship year in the bubble, but I do think that what he's doing athletically, and then I think from the NBA's perspective, the best part of the Lakers run was that LeBron bought into the in-season tournament. I mean, clearly he wanted to win this thing, and for the league, good thing that your first NBA Cup champion is the Lakers and LeBron. When you think about the proximity of the Lakers to Vegas and getting people in the stands,
it was
I know I
sold
was reading
out.
an
It was
article
sold
today.
out. It was sold
Yeah,
out. So
I was reading an article today just talking about that, when you start thinking about fans from elsewhere in the country where you play that quarterfinal round and then 2 days later, if you're a fan, you got to make plans to travel to Vegas if you want to go see your team. Obviously, the average NBA fan is not putting together a Vegas trip in 2 days to go see their NBA
yeah,
team play.
their flight might get canceled, then you have to drive 4 hours and get
There you
upset
go.
about it, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I understand. I get it. I get it. So I think that from that standpoint, the NBA had to be ecstatic that it was the Lakers that made the final from the perspective of just getting fans to Las Vegas to be able to see that game. I've heard some various arguments and discussion about I think that the the venue, right, of how do you end up doing this? And they're going to tweak it, but I one of the things that I heard, and I think it makes some sense, and I think the NBA has to figure it out and try to balance it. Is to me the most exciting game in that in-season tournament was the Pacers Celtics game in the quarterfinals. That was in Indianapolis, where the crowd was going crazy. The team off the energy of the crowd, and that felt like almost like a college atmosphere, where it was just the crowd was just so pumped up, and as a result of that, the players were completely into that game, and you could just feel the energy in that
Yeah.
building. And look, I wasn't in Vegas. Certainly, those Vegas games did not come across the same way that Indiana game did, which clearly it shouldn't. You're in a neutral site versus being at a team's home arena. But I think that one of the things that the NBA is going to have to think about is it does it make the most sense to put those games all in Vegas? Do you run home teams up until the last game and then have the whole thing be just the final in Vegas? Do you keep it the way it is? I think they're probably going to keep it the way it is because to just come in for one game probably is even more prohibitive. At least if you come in and theoretically you could be there for 2, 3 days for the semifinals and the final. But I do think that you lose something in terms of the atmosphere that you had. Like I said, to me, that Indiana Boston game was by far the most exciting game that had the most playoff feel because again you were in a team's home arena versus playing in a neutral site. Now the NBA is different, right, than college basketball, where once you're in March Madness, those are all neutral sites, and so it's kind of what you're used to. You get to the Final Four and the NCAA tournament. Oftentimes you're playing in a giant dome with 40,000 people there, where there isn't that raucous home atmosphere. Although you do have clearly students and fans that travel to go to the Final Four, but the NBA typically doesn't do that. So it didn't feel the same way that a playoff game might feel. But I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I don't know what your thoughts
Yeah.
are on the crowd and kind of how they do that.
Listen, I, I have my only real opinion on the whole Vegas situation is I was not a fan of the floor.
Yeah, it was a bad floor.
Like, I don't mean to turn back to the dang floor, Mike, and talk about this, but I saw it. I turned it on. I'm like, this is what they game up for the championship rounds. Like, come on. Um,
You would have thought they
uh,
would have learned from the negative feedback because I think the courts that people seem to like were the
we're
ones that were
non-red.
more, well, yeah, non-red, that didn't have the bright searing red. And then even that blue, like I like the subtler blue. Like I know you didn't like Indiana's court, but I liked Indiana's court. And I felt like some of the color red was clearly the one color that you wanted to avoid. And I felt like that dark blue, sort of that royal that was the color of that court. I thought that court was also kind of hard to,
Yeah,
it was hard on your eyes. So I think there
yeah,
would have
yeah,
been a better choice. I think what's going to be interesting though, from the NBA's perspective again, is that every year now they're clearly going to come up with, it's not going to be the same design of the courts next year. So now you're looking at, again, you have the city edition jerseys, but now every year you're going to look forward to, hey, what are the courts going to look like for the in-season tournament? So I know that most people aren't necessarily going to care, but diehard NBA fans are certainly going to be watching every year to see, hey, what are the floors going to look like for this year's NBA in-season
yeah,
tournament, which should be interesting going forward. I know I'll be interested in it each year to see kind of what they come up with because it's not going to be the same every year.
yeah, for sure. I think they'll tweak it, and that'll be good. And I hope they take some feedback about like what's not acceptable and what is acceptable. And obviously, um, you would think that they had focus groups before, like looking at things because everyone has a focus group nowadays to look at things. But um, yeah, I think the other thing, did you like Adam Silver's comments when he handed LeBron the MVP trophy? Did you see this?
I didn't see it. I didn't see
He
the.
he
I
said here's the trophy I have. I the only thing I can't give you right now is a franchise in the city or something like that. Like he subtly joked at because LeBron said he'd like to have a franchise in own a franchise in Vegas or something. Like
What do
I
you
thought
put
that
the
was
odds at that What do you put the odds at that happening? What do you put the odds? What do you put the odds?
75%. 75%.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably higher than that. I mean, I think the NBA is going to find a way to get that done. Although you'd think maybe they would learn from the Jordan experiment that it's not necessarily the greatest idea.
But here's my question,
It's
Mike.
not. It's
Here's
not
my
a no. It's not a no. It's not a no-brainer idea. I guess is my point.
uh, do you th- but Jordan's never been known as a businessman, right? Would you say that Jordan is a business? I like yeah, like I'm not
He
talking
has the
NBA skills.
biggest. He has the biggest business in the history of sports. I would say, right, of
Wait,
sports marketing. The Jordan brand, dude. The Jordan brand is on Michigan football's uniforms.
I I understand
Now,
what you're saying, Mike.
I'm not saying Jordan's running the
But
day-to-day operations of the Jordan brand division of Nike, but he certainly has had something to do with it. When you talk
okay.
about sports and
Did you watch
business,
Air, Mike? Did you watch Air?
I haven't watched it.
What the heck is your problem?
I don't watch movies, dude.
Dude, it's
I
about
don't.
Jordan's shoe. That of all
I,
things, you
I
haven't watched that movie? Get your
no,
act
I haven't.
together. I'm
I
disappointed
have
in
not
you.
watched. Hey
It's
man,
on
I just
Amazon
do.
Prime. Do you have Amazon Prime?
I do. I do.
Dude, it's sit down one night.
The only thing I've ever watched on Amazon Prime is Thursday Night Football.
Okay, you need to watch Air. It is very
Okay.
good. It is very
All
good.
right.
Okay.
Okay. What is it?
But
What
anyway,
insights did you get from
I,
that?
I just how the whole story about how it came to be and how they were like people were telling them that like that's dumb. Why would we get a shoe with this guy? Like this doesn't make sense to us. And LeBron and them not LeBron, but them selling it to Michael Jordan's family. Like it wasn't just Michael. Like they had to sell it to the family, and speaking about that and just like I didn't know the whole backstory. And obviously some of it's probably dramatized, right? But it was still pretty good. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really interesting story. I think they probably could have gotten someone better to play Jordan. But I thought it was a pretty good movie. And I'm guessing it's probably 75% accurate. And there's probably some, as every based on a true story or liberties are
Right.
taken.
I got you. I
Okay.
got you.
But
I guess the
but what
point
I'm
is like
saying, okay, so
LeBron's a really good businessman, and so is Jordan. I think I know what you're saying. LeBron feels more
I think
hands-on in the
I
business
think
side of it.
LeBron would be way more hands on than Jordan ever was. I honestly think that. Um,
Is that good or bad
I mean,
in the
we'll
day-to-day
have,
basketball operations? La GM, as he's called on Twitter occasionally,
I mean,
bringing in Westbrook.
no, Westbrook will be
So,
retired by then.
I'm
He'll be
just, I know.
retired by
I'm just
then.
saying. He's. I don't. I
He'll
think that
he'll have
that
Bronny and
ship has
Bryce on
sailed.
his team, I bet.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
Look,
and no,
I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably. I'd put it at closer to 90% that it's going to happen because it just feels like,
the question is what year, right? I guess that's the question. What's the year?
yeah,
What
how
year is
long
it?
does it take after? I mean,
He has to
look,
retire.
yeah, he has to retire, which could be 10 years from now. I don't know. I mean, seriously, you talked about it off the top, right? That you haven't seen the guy play this well since 2018 in Cleveland. And
You
athletically,
said it. I remember you in 2018 in Cleveland saying, "Oh, father, time's coming for him." Like,
and he's not. He hasn't. Fine, fell asleep. He went over to LeBron's house and took a nap because it's just not happening. And what we've seen from LeBron from an athletic standpoint, is he 2009 LeBron? No, he's not. But you look at some of the things that he's able to do, dunks up and down the floor from a strength standpoint. Athletically, he's still probably in the top
do
5% of the
you know what his
league.
stat line tonight was, Mike? They lost the Mavericks
No,
by 2.
I
They
know.
lost
I know.
by
Luka had what 33 and 17 assists.
well, LeBron only played 40 minutes tonight, just so you know. Played 40 minutes tonight. 33 33 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, a block. He was 14 of 27, 2 of 3 from the line.
What was AD's stat line?
37, 11, 0, 0, 2. 0 assists,
So
0
so
steals.
AD put up 37.
37 and 11.
It's pretty good. Look, if those two
Austin
guys
Reeves
are
had
playing at the
22.
yeah,
So
those three guys, if AD and LeBron are playing at the level that they played at against the Pacers, that's going to be a team that is going to be difficult to match up
do you know
with.
who
They're
do you know
they're
who the
big.
King Slayer was on for the Dallas Mavericks tonight?
Who guarded him? Is that what
No,
you're
who's
asking
the
me?
King Slayer? Who ended up winning the game for them in the fourth quarter, scoring 22 points?
In the fourth quarter,
Former
Tim Hardaway
Cavalier,
Jr.
former Cavalier that got shipped to Australia.
Just tell me.
Dante Exum.
Nice.
He was 20. He had 26 points, 22 points in the fourth quarter, and he went 7 from 9 from behind the arc.
I'm assuming most of those assisted by Luka. I'm guessing since Luka had 17 assists. That's what I'm guessing. Now, having not watched the game, I'm guessing that's probably what happened.
I'm
I
guessing
think.
so
Look,
too.
the
Tim
long-term
Hardaway had
prognosis for
32 tonight too. Tim Hardaway had
yeah,
32 tonight too. So
Hardaway's been good. Luka's been
yeah.
incredible. He just when you watch that guy play, I watched a little of their game. Was it last night? I think it was last night against Memphis. Just I flipped it over after the Cavs game and was watching a little bit of that. And when you watch Luka, the dude just controls everything. He can kind of get wherever he wants to go. He's one of those guys again. Do you want to call him sneaky athletic? But he's so strong and his handle is so good. And he just gets to places. And what cracks me up about him, and I think LeBron does this to some degree, but probably not as much as Luka, simply because of the athleticism difference. But Luka will get these passes where he'll back into some place and he'll have two dudes on him, and all of a sudden he'll be whipping the ball out at some weird angle to a guy in the 3 point line way across the court, and the ball just hits him, boom, right in the hands, ready to shoot the ball. I mean, his passing, what he can do from awkward positions and weird releases and all these different kinds of things. He's just an incredible, incredible passer. And
Um
that says nothing about his
yeah.
scoring. And he's just when that guy eventually gets the right team around him, and I hope at some point that he does, whether that's in Dallas or somewhere else, it would be fun to really see him on a team where he had a great supporting cast, because he just hasn't had that to this point in Dallas. And so
Yep.
it's hard to know what his skill set would look like with a bunch of other guys that could kind of fit around him in the right way. And I don't know how Dallas gets to that point, or if he has to leave Dallas in order for that to happen. But there's nobody more talented in the league than Luka as an offensive player. There just
Yeah.
isn't. I mean, he has every tool. He has every tool in the book. I mean, he just has them all. He can post up. He can handle the ball and get to the basket. He's so strong. He obviously shoots a three. He's, if not the best passer, one of the two or three, four best passers in the entire league. And he's what he does with the ball offensively is, I mean, it's second to none. And it'd be interesting to see if he again played with a team that maximized what he's capable of doing. So
Kind of like what the Denver Nuggets do with Jokic, except for
yeah,
tonight.
I mean it's similar, right? I mean it's similar. Jokic got kicked out tonight.
Yeah.
I
The
saw where Chicago fans were booing him. I'm assuming that's because they wanted to see him play. So
Nuggets
since he got
Bulls
booted,
Cruise chief Mark Lindsay to a poll reporter following Nikola Jokic's second quarter ejection. To be clear, Jokic was ejected after one technical foul because he directed a profane language at the official that, by our standards, warranted an ejection. Jokic acknowledged he crossed the line, but says sometimes that language doesn't lead to a tech, let alone an ejection. Says he doesn't want to say anymore because he likes his money.
I think he played what, like 16 minutes. He still had like four. I think he only had 4 points, but he
Four
still had like
points, nine rebounds, four
six
assists, or
assists,
something.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. That dude is a machine, and a machine in a good way. Like there's no way for teams to deal with him. And I still think, look, Denver's kind of been scuffling because they've had a lot of injuries. And obviously Murray was out for a while, and then he's come back, and they're still trying to find their footing. But they still have the best starting five in the league, and everybody, unlike the Cavs, it feels like everybody in Denver has sort of a separate skill set that complements each of the other members of that starting five. And then Jokic, obviously, the conduit that puts it all together with his passing, and just the way that he plays is so contagious. That's one of those things that you hear people say all the time, like what made Magic Johnson and Larry Bird such special players. It was just the fact that they were A, great passers, but I think even more importantly, B, they were willing passers. And when you have your best player who's willing to give the ball up in lots of different situations, it just it's infectious and everybody starts to play that way. And that's when you really can, I think, maximize your ceiling. And I think when you start looking at teams, and I know we've talked about this with the Cavs, right, who lost to the Celtics tonight, but it just doesn't feel like what they have, their four main guys, it doesn't feel like any of them multiply what the other guys in that group can do. It kind of feels like each guy is doing his own thing, and the parts are not, the parts are greater than the whole. And they got to figure that out. I don't know what that
You'd
looks
say
like.
they're an
I don't know if that
improper fraction, Mike. They're an
they're an
improper
improper
fraction.
fraction. They're an improper fraction. They just don't. It feels like there's too much redundancy. And I know we've talked about it, so we don't have to talk about it really much anymore. I kind of felt like before the game last night against the Magic, I kind of felt like maybe they were starting to get things together.
Well,
And
and
obviously
listen, this let's
Mobley's out.
Mobley's being out. That's a big
Right.
thing.
That
Like,
hurts them. It hurts them. I mean, look, as much as everybody wants to kind of dump on Mobley, and I think I would include myself in that we want him to be more. The fact of the matter is, the dude's averaging like almost 18 a game with 11 boards. He shoots close to 60% from the floor, a lot of dunks in that. And he is playing certainly first team all NBA type of defense. So, as much as we would want him to be more of a hub offensively, when you take him out of the lineup, that's a huge blow to what the Cavs are trying to do day in and day out. And then the second part of removing Mobley is the Cavs bench is just, I mean, it's atrocious. I mean, they just don't,
and
they get
I
no
mean, listen. Here's the
production.
problem. Here's the problem. We're talking about a guy named Tristan Thompson is having to play 5 meaningful minutes, and I want to be clear here. I think he's done way better than I could have ever imagined that
Oh,
he would
he's been
do.
fantastic.
Honestly,
He's
like
been fantastic as a
he's.
backup center.
I mean, there was a offensive rebound he got tonight, Mike. And I know you didn't watch any of the Cavs game tonight, but there was an offensive rebound that he ripped away um, from Horford and then kicked it out to Strus, who hit a three. And like he played so well. He got into a little bit of a tough tussle and ended up getting a jump ball with Jaylen Brown. Like he played really, really well in his minutes that he was out there. But the problem is like you can't rely on him to play lots and lots and lots of minutes because I mean he's great on defense, but his offense is still
And he's going to do what he does, which is he's going to rebound for you, especially on the offensive
yeah.
glass, and he's going to compete defensively. But offensively, he's a net zero other than maybe putbacks. You're not getting anything out of him. I think. What's your take on Bang Bang
Well, he played well in the first quarter tonight.
in general?
Uh,
What's your thoughts on him?
I'm not as
That's a good thought.
impressed.
That's a good thought. I
I'm
like your
not as
first statement. I like your
I'm not.
thought. I
Listen,
like your
listen,
thought.
listen. He is a taller, younger, less likable version of Kevin Love.
Well, he's shorter.
He's not as tall as Kevin Love. I swear to God, he's got to be.
Bang Bang George Niang's only like 6'6".
Really?
Yep, I'm gonna look him up right now.
Maybe.
6'7". Well, they have him listed at 6'7".
Okay, Kevin Love is taller. Wow. Okay.
Look, I can honestly say my family despises George
Oh
Niang.
well. Hey,
Meredith
hey,
Meredith and Madeline,
Mike,
whenever he checks into the
Mike.
game, they're like, "Oh, but
Mike, Jokic may have gotten ejected, but our favorite ejection player just punched Nurkic on a play. Draymond
Draymond?
just got ejected
Oh,
for a
nice."
flagrant foul. And
I'll
Bill
tell you
Simmons
what, man.
tweeted Draymond as the LVP of the season so far.
I'll tell you what, like Draymond, it really feels like that dude has become completely unhinged,
Unhinged. Does he have CTE, Mike? Is he the first NBA player that might have CTE?
I don't
Like,
know.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying
Honestly,
to make it.
no. I think when you look at his pattern of behavior, starting with the Jordan Poole punch last year, and the way that he's conducted
I just
himself.
sent you the punch, by the way. I just sent it
Okay,
to you so you can get a live
he's
reaction.
he's always been he's always been crazy, right? I mean, he really has. And now it's just gone completely over the top. And I think at some point, I think if you were to inject truth serum into Steve Kerr, Draymond had a huge part to play, right, in their dynasty and all their championships. There's no doubt. He's been an unbelievable defensive player, and he's been a guy that, because Steph is more even keeled, he's kind of been the emotional, I don't want to say leader, but again, they've taken a lot of when they have when they've needed the fire and emotion, Draymond's been there to provide that for him, and he's kind of always walked up to the line, and clearly he's crossed it many, many times, but it feels like he's completely lost it this year. And sometimes you wonder if you could really talk to Steve Kerr and get Steve Kerr to be honest, at what point would he be like, dude, we should have cut bait on this guy a long time ago? Because to coach that guy, it's got to be just a nightmare. Because I'm guessing that there's not much you can really tell him that is going to make any difference. I just think the dude does what he does,
Okay,
and
watch the video.
it's a
Watch the
pain.
video, Mike.
Did you
Watch the
send it to
video.
me
I
on
want.
Twitter? Or where'd you send it?
Yeah, I sent it to you on Twitter.
All right. It did. It
I
hadn't
want your
shown up
live
yet. There it
reaction.
is. There it is.
I want you to live react to Draymond.
All right. Stan Gundy. Ooh, that's going to be a flagrant. All right. Well, okay. So I can already tell you what's going to happen, right? He's going to be like, I was just trying to move and screen, and then Nurkic grabbed me, and then I just swung my arm. You know, it's not going to be. He's not going to say that that was intentional. Like that. That's going to be. I was just flailing my arm
Well,
trying to get around
he's
this.
getting suspended, right? He's getting suspended. How
Oh
many
yeah,
games
yeah,
is he?
yeah. Oh yeah,
How many
for
games is
sure.
he suspended? Is it a 7-game suspension? He's already gotten suspended once this year. So 7-game suspension, 5-game suspension. What are we getting here?
That's. I think you can. I think you can make a case that that's probably. Ooh, yeah, that's probably a 7 game. I think you probably go
Yeah,
beyond
7.
the
Let's go.
5.
Let's go 7
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
Let's go 7
That
games
seems
suspension.
fair. That seems fair. Look,
Andrew Siciliano, who's an NFL reporter, says Draymond isn't even trying to hide it anymore. Roundhouse right to the head. Sure, why not? See you in 2024, Draymond, is what he wrote.
there you go. Look, uh, Draymond at this point is a clown. I mean, he was always a clown, but he was a clown that did so many things to help his team win. Now you're just at a point where he's become a caricature of himself. And the things that he's doing out on the floor, that outburst that he had against the Cavs where he was running around the court and screaming and yelling at people and doing whatever before he finally left the court when he got ejected against the Cavaliers. I mean, that behavior was just ridiculous. And the Gobert thing and now this on top of it, yeah, it's gonna be a much longer suspension. I would say for sure 7 games. That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. The only other thing that we have to talk about from the in-season tournament, Mike, because I know we've kind of been Johnson and McFarland, is Zion Williamson. Can we talk? Can we talk, please?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Well, I'll let you share your
Would you?
thoughts first, and then
My
all right,
thought
go ahead.
is that
Share your thought, and then I'll go.
his work ethic is rather lackadaisical.
No, you can't even butcher it as bad as he did. You can't.
Like,
There's no possible way. I don't even know what word that was.
let's see if what play it. I'm gonna play it for us here. Hold on.
I think we kind of went into the game too, like Kasegazel. I think we kind of went into the game too, like Kasegazel.
Like a Sazel. Like a Sazel.
What the heck is he saying? Like,
what is
going on? What is going on with this guy? Like, I have to give it to Simmons because when he was talking about it, he did everything in his power to avoid the elephant in the room. Is how is he fluctuating in weight so much? I mean, he looked in that game against the Lakers, he looked big. Like
he was enormously fat. Let's just put it out there. I mean, he
yeah,
was enormously fat.
he was like Santa Claus. And I know December is here, but he looked huge. And there was those moments of explosiveness that he would go to the basket and score, or he would do something great and he would score, but everything else is just, it looks painful, Mike. It looks painful. And I know he's been piled on it, and I've had my jokes with him about going to the buffet and whatnot, but his mental health has got to be in a rough spot. Like, or he just doesn't care because he's getting paid millions of dollars. But you got to think like something's going on here, and they need to figure something out. That's really the bottom line on that. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I can say that hasn't been said either by us or someone else. Like, they need to figure something out with him, and I don't know what it is.
I mean, I texted you during that game. I'm like, he's fat. I mean, he's just as huge. I mean, the guy. I don't know. We're approaching. I guess what I would say is, I feel like you're starting to get to a point where the talent that that guy has in his body and what he's capable of doing, and you're approaching a point where you have to start looking at it and saying, is he going to be one of the most all-time potential disappointments in terms of what the guy's ceiling could have been and what he actually
Yeah,
accomplishes in his career? I mean, that's the kind of territory that we're starting to approach, because you hear every national broadcaster, you heard Barkley and Shaq just talk about this guy just doesn't get it. He's not taking his career seriously. He's not in condition. He's not doing the things it takes to succeed at the highest level. And obviously, whatever last night he had, what do you have, 38 or 36? There's just a tremendous amount of talent there. We've said it over and over and over again. But the fact that he just doesn't seem like, as you said, he cares that much about being at his best. And look, these are conversations that we've had on the podcast with different guys, that, especially coaches that have been in the NBA. One of the questions I always like to ask is, what sets apart the guys who are the very best players in the league? What makes them different, right? Because when you get to that level, like, dudes are talented all across the board. And yet some guys end up at the very, very top of their game. Some guys end up just being middling NBA players. And what's the difference between those guys? And sure, sometimes there's physical tools, but so often, right, it comes down to who wants it, who works at it, what's the work ethic. Do you have the mental toughness to get up and do it 82 times a year? And do you have the mental toughness to do like what LeBron does year after year after year, and just pour everything that you have in the off season into being your absolute best? And then you look at Zion and you have to say, like, look, this dude he has talent that's in the top 1% of the league when you think about what he can do physically. You go back and you look, I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and I just saw a package of Zion highlights from Duke. And basically the caption said, will we ever see this guy again? And you watch those highlights and you watch how athletic he was. And at that point, he was still huge, but huge in a good way. I mean, just looked like a man among boys. And you don't see anything that looks even remotely like that out of what Zion is today. And like I said, I worry that we're starting to get to the point where, whether he's injured, he's not injured, at this point, that doesn't even matter. Like, the dude has to start to take his career seriously and put his talent to use. Otherwise, you're talking about he might go down as one of the biggest disappointments as far as guys who didn't reach their potential, especially if he continues to play and doesn't have a career ending injury. If he just continues to kind of mope along. And it's crazy to say, look, he's averaging 23 and 6. So he's clearly still an effective and good offensive player. The problem is
yeah,
that he can be so much more than that. I think that's why when you hear Barkley talk and you hear Shaq talk, like, those guys, they know the type of talent that this guy has. And I think anybody who, you get to the top of your profession in the NBA and you talk about these retired guys, and like, they want to see dudes. There's very few guys who have the ability to be among the top 10 players in the league. And so when you get a guy that can get there and he's not doing it, that's why you see all these older players who are retired. That's why you see them calling out these younger guys and being like, "Hey, man, like you got to do these things in order to get to where you want to go." And it's almost like a disrespect to the game thing is how I feel about it. Like, man, to have that kind of talent and not maximize it is it's just a shame. I mean, it's a shame for everybody who's a fan of the NBA, but it's got to be it's just the biggest shame for Zion to not know what he could be if he really put his mind to it. It's approaching that territory where you're just disappointed in what you haven't been able to see from him.
Yeah. And we're close to getting Ja back, I guess, because I know this Adam Silver has said that he was meeting with Ja this week, and then he feels like he's met all the criteria. So the other side of the coin with Mr. Morant returning, we'll see what happens there.
Man,
Yeah.
what a dilemma, right? Those two guys, top two picks.
Yeah.
Going forward, which guy would you rather have?
Oof. Who was the third pick in that draft?
R.J. Barrett.
Oh God, who was the fourth pick in that draft? Is that DeAndre Hunter?
Couldn't tell you. Yeah, it might have been
DeAndre Hunter, I think.
Darius. Was that Darius's draft?
Yeah.
Was Darius fifth in that draft?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I would take Darius Garland. That's who I would take.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I agree.
like probably
Of those four,
most reliable.
of those five dudes, I'd probably take Garland going forward,
Yeah.
which is scary to think with how good Morant has been, probably will continue to be, but who knows on a personal level. And then Zion, it's just, man, it's so disappointing. I mean, seriously, go back and if you get a chance, listeners or Jason, just go back and watch the 2 minutes of Duke highlights. And
Does that include his
he's
shoe blowing out?
I mean, he's unrecognizable. That guy, the athleticism, the dunks, the ferocity, the explosiveness. It doesn't look anything like the guy we saw jogging up and down the floor in Vegas. It just doesn't. And then conversely, you look at Halliburton, right? I mean, that's the other story of the in-season tournament is how good Halliburton's been. I was kind of on this. I feel like during the FIBA World Cup this summer that it seemed like every time Halliburton came into the game, the team played better. And that's no knock on Jalen Brunson, who's a very good player. But I think we've clearly seen that Halliburton has ascended to a level that Jalen Brunson is never going to be able to get to, both as a distributor, as a scorer. And if you're Indiana, there's been a lot of talk here over the last couple of days during the. What do you do if you're Indiana? You've got the best offense in the history of the NBA. You've got a very, very, at best, mediocre defense. Is there a trade out there that Indiana can make to upgrade? Is now the time to do that around Halliburton? Do you wait and continue to let Mather and these other guys develop? Do you try to open up cap space? What do you do? I heard them being rumored to being linked to Pascal Siakam or Anunoby. If I'm Indiana, Pascal Siakam or Anunoby do not make me an NBA championship team. I'm not sure that I do either one of those, I guess, depending on what you'd have to give up in order to get those guys. If you're Indiana, I think what you want to do is that you make the playoffs this year so that you get some experience for those guys and especially for Halliburton. But I don't think you want to mortgage your future for anything at this point. Certainly not a guy on Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby's level, who I'm not sure that either one of those guys is the second best player on a championship team at this point in their career. I think Siakam, I guess during the Toronto run with Kawhi, maybe he was the second best guy 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think he's playing at that same level. And I don't think Anunoby is anywhere near that level of player. So I think Indiana has to tread carefully. They're in a situation where they got to make, as a mid-major, they have to be careful about when they pull the trigger and who they pull the trigger on, because you can do it right or you can do it wrong. And you think back about the Cavs and LeBron in the first instance, trying to get that right. You think about Dallas and trying to get that right around Luka, and they swung for Porzingis, and that didn't work out, maybe because of injury. Porzingis obviously was good tonight, and he's going to be very good for the Celtics if he can stay healthy. But I think Indiana has to tread carefully as far as they're going to eventually have to make a move. They just got to make sure they do it at the right time. And the jury's still out right on the Cavs. Cavs made a move,
Yeah.
and the jury's still out. Who knows? It doesn't look like it's going to work out perfectly, but who knows? And you only get one chance if you're not a major market to make a swing. And Indiana's got to be careful with what they do. But Halliburton is just, I mean, he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Handling the ball, distributing, shooting, which was, I think, the question mark with him because he's kind of got the funky shot. But I felt like every time watching him over the last week and a half, felt like every time the guy took a three, I felt like it was going in. His teammates certainly thought it was going in. You could see him as soon as he releases, everybody on the bench is up and got the three up in the air, and he's. I'm not sure there's too many guards. The list of guys I would take before I'd take Tyrese Halliburton in the league, that list is shrinking every day. Let's put it that way.
It's a fair point. I mean, when you think about it, I probably would take would you take SGA over him?
I don't know. I mean, that's when I was thinking about this heading into the podcast tonight, just kind of thinking about our topics and whatever. Those are the two guys that I think came into my head trying to debate which one of those guys I would take. SGA, I think, is better scorer. Halliburton, I think, better distributor. I think I'd take Halliburton. I really do.
Okay. So who would you take over? Luka? You take Luka.
Yeah.
Over Halliburton.
Yeah.
Who else would you take over Halliburton?
Am I talking about this season or am I talking about for the next,
let's say,
5 or 10 years?
The next 5 years. Who are you taking? Luka?
I mean, I think the list. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I go beyond. I'm not sure I go beyond. I'm not sure I go beyond that. I mean, I really. I don't. I don't know that there's anybody. I don't know that there's anybody else that's out there that I would say definitively as a guard, as strictly as a guard. If we're talking point guards, I don't know that there's anybody that I would take beyond Luka. I really don't.
Not old man Chris Paul. Okay.
I mean, this year you'd
No.
probably take Curry. You take Curry probably over him just for this season. But if you're talking about the next 5 years, I don't think you would.
Well, I can't think of anyone else. I was trying to go
Fox?
through. No.
I'm just saying. But
How?
look, Fox is. I would take Halliburton too, but De'Aaron Fox is averaging he's averaging 30 a game and 6 or 7 assists. Fox has been fantastic. I know that. Look, there was that period where right after they traded Halliburton that people were kind of down on De'Aaron Fox and he was struggling with some injuries and wasn't playing well.
They're getting smoked by the Clippers tonight. They're getting smoked.
Sacramento's been a funny team this year. They've been really up
76.
and down.
They're losing 76-54 halfway through the third quarter.
They've been maddeningly, I would say, up and down. It's just been a weird season for them. I feel like some games they've looked really good, and then other games they just haven't shown up at all.
James Harden stat line tonight: 10, 5, 6 with 2 steals. Distributing that ball.
Clippers are turning around, baby.
Yep.
Look,
all right. Anything else you really want to?
There's nothing the Clippers could do that could convince me that they're that they're doing anything. I mean, De'Aaron Fox. Here's De'Aaron Fox's stats for this season. He's averaging 30.5 a game, 6.6 assists. He's shooting 48% from the floor. Let's see what he's shooting from three. He's shooting 38% from three this year. I mean, look, I don't think he's as good as Halliburton. I think Halliburton's probably a better distributor, but that gap between him and between De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton is not. I mean, it's not huge. Let's put it that way. It's not huge. Again, I'm a De'Aaron Fox guy. I like De'Aaron Fox. I think he's probably underrated because he's playing out in nowhere in Sacramento. But yeah, the list of point guards that I would take over Halliburton.
It's Luka.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Luca. I think that's. I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else that I would. Again, if we're talking for the next 5 years, and we're talking strictly point guards, I just don't think there's anybody that I would, that I would take over him. So
Okay, fair. Anything else NBA wise, Mike?
let me think. Let me just look at. Let me just look through it at the teams and see if anything jumps out at me that
You saw
that we haven't.
Washington's going to relocate
The Wizards?
the Virginia out of downtown Washington D.C.
Really? I did not see that.
There's going to be a press conference tomorrow. Woj tweeted it. You were probably watching your son's basketball game. Let's see if I can pull up the details. Woj tweeted out that
That's bad, man. I hate to see teams leave the core of their city. I mean, I guess I kind of miss the old
ESPN
Coliseum
sources
out in Richfield.
Monumental Sports and Washington Wizards owner Ted Leonis plans to join Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin in Alexandria, Virginia, for a news conference on Wednesday to unveil plans for a proposed new arena complex and entertainment district for Wizards and HL's Capitals. A deal is close for the Wizards and Capitals to move the franchises out of downtown DC and into Northern Virginia.
Money talks, I guess. I mean, I don't know, obviously, the details of all that, but it just, I hate to see teams. I like to see teams in their downtown. It just feels like that's where teams should be playing. I get why they don't sometimes, but I'd rather see teams stay
Listen,
in
you don't
there.
want to drive to Richfield Coliseum, Mike?
I liked Richfield. I was fine with Richfield. I mean, obviously, living where we live, we were as close to Richfield as we were to downtown Cleveland, and yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. I definitely miss the Coliseum, but I do think that it's more fun. It feels like it's more fun to have the games down in the core of your city. So
Downtown.
there you go. Petula Clark, right?
Yeah, look at you.
It's a Seinfeld. That's a sign. That's the only reason why I know that the singer of that song is from Seinfeld. So
you know, Mike.
go.
You know,
You've got to go.
hey,
Downtown.
really quick. You do know that before South Park Mall was designed, they were originally talking about putting the queue there, right? The gun
That was a
green
cornfield. That was Lee Sprague owned that. He owned that whole thing. I used to.
I know, but that was the talk before they put the mall
Really?
there. The talk
I did
was
not hear.
to move.
didn't
They
know
wanted to move them closer to downtown, but they didn't know that they didn't think they were going to have the space to do it downtown, so they were going to put the arena in Strongsville. Think about how different Strongsville would be if we had the arena right here.
The arena instead of the mall. Well, the arena would probably be gone by now. If they had built it, if they had built the arena in 1995 in Strongsville, that arena would probably be gone. Because you think about right. So in Detroit,
Palace, Auburn Hills.
the Pistons used to play in the they first played they played in the Silverdome, and then they played in Joe Louis Arena, which was in downtown Detroit. Then they were at the Palace of Auburn Hills out in the suburbs, and then now they built, I forget what's it called,
Little Caesars Arena.
Little Caesars Arena, which is in downtown Detroit. So
look at this. Look at that. I pulled that one out of the sky, more.
That was good. That was good. That was impressive. So I think the same thing would have happened if they'd have built the Cavs Arena in Strongsville in 1995 when Gund Arena opened downtown. I would guess that arena would already be obsolete, and they would have moved it. They would have moved it downtown. The Cavs would still not be playing in Strongsville if they had started playing there in 1995.
Could you imagine though how crazy that would have been? We would have been able to walk to the game, not pay for parking.
Yeah,
oh my God.
That? Yeah,
that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Property values probably going to skyrocketed.
Or gone down. One of the two.
Maybe you would have gone down because traffic. I would have gone up over here on this side of town.
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like my development is kind of insulated from anything. It feels like you go in Ledgewood and you're like
you just go out Dairy Queen way.
Yeah, you're in another world, right?
Sorry for the listeners who have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly.
All right.
Give us the update. Do you have the updated spreadsheet?
I do. I'm kicking your butt now again.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I was only up 13. Now I'm back up 20.
Man, who's letting me down here? Hawks. Come on, man. Hawks are
Memphis wins. Memphis wins.
Memphis wins is a killer.
Pacers continuing to win. Rockets not losing as much as you thought. The Warriors,
Still feel like
that's the one. The Warriors is the one that's hurting you. The
yeah, that
Warriors
was
right
my
there
fifth. That
too.
was my fifth. That was my fifth pick. The Warriors wins. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I still feel all right. I feel all right. I feel all
Yeah,
right.
listen, we got a long way to go here. We got a long way to go.
There's a long way to go.
Speaking of
All
long
right.
way
What
to
do you want?
go,
What do you want? What do you want to talk? You want to talk Browns?
yeah, let's talk Browns really quickly. Okay.
All right. Okay.
They're in the driver's seat, baby. Listen, the Cleveland Browns fan base has got crazy enough after the Dolphins lost last night to talk about ways that we could be the number one seed. And it is possible. And it is logistically possible. Okay, Mike, it's logistically possible. I don't think it's going to happen. The Browns have to
You
win
don't?
out.
You don't think it's gonna happen? What are you talking about?
The Browns have to win out.
In Flacco, we trust.
Baltimore has to lose 2 games, which is legitimately possible. Miami has to lose 1 game to an AFC opponent. If those 3 things happen, the Browns win out, the Ravens lose 2 games, the Ravens have a tough schedule the rest of the way. Okay? And well, that's why if the Ravens would have lost on Sunday, like they looked like they were gonna lose when the Rams had a chance to win the game, and then
Did you
the
see
punt
that
return
punt
happened.
return? Did
Oh,
you watch
the
the punt
friggin'
return?
block in the backs
Oh,
all over the place.
there was the one block in the back right when the guy breaks through the containment. The guy from the Ravens just comes flying in and just blasts the dude from the Rams in the back. I mean, it's not even close. It's not like it's on the side or he's on his shoulder. It's just a blatant he just crushes them in the back. Crushes them. Look,
And it,
the Ravens, I can tell you what, the Ravens are going to find ways to win stupid games. The same way
well,
the
listen,
Browns usually find
they,
ways to lose those stupid games. The Ravens somehow you can be watching the scoreboard and see, all right, the Ravens are down 13 with 4 minutes to go, and you know they're going to win by 1. You just
yeah,
know it.
yeah. Listen, and the Ravens, by the way, I say they have to lose 2 games. One of those games against the Steelers. They're not losing that game. The Steelers are a cross-off team. They're done. Okay. Anyways, so there's a potential path. Okay. I'm not saying they're going to get there. I think there's a very good likelihood that we are the 5 seed and we are playing the winner of the AFC South. It'll be the Jaguars. It'll be one of the teams we've already played, all right? Because
That would be a good situation.
or actually, it might even be a better situation, Mike. I might even be more welcome to playing the Kansas City Chiefs because they are terrible. I'm ready to say it. Taylor Swift, I love her music. She has not helped. This is not the Chief era. I'll just leave it at that, Mike. I'm I just don't feel something's off with the Chiefs, and I feel like they are beatable as them or the AFC South teams. I would feel good about playing. I would feel really good about playing those teams, um, because we've already beat. What did we lose to an AFC South team? Okay, wait, let's do the math.
We beat the Colts, we beat the Jaguars,
We beat the
and
Titans.
we beat the Titans.
We haven't
So,
played.
yeah,
We haven't played the Texans yet. We have not played the
yeah,
Texans yet. So that's the
yeah.
team. That's the team we have to beat. And listen, we play the Bears this week. Now the Bears are on a glow up a little bit, but they're feeling their oats a little bit. So I'm thinking they're gonna come in thinking they're gonna beat us, and they're not going to.
I feel okay because that's a home game. If we were going to Chicago, I wouldn't feel that good about that game, but I feel pretty good because it's a home game. Look, when you look at
we gotta
the
win. They
last
gotta
4
win 2
games,
games. They gotta win 2 games. They gotta win 2 games to get to the playoffs, Mike. If they don't go 2-2, they don't.
yeah, if you don't go 2-2 against this schedule, you do not deserve to make the playoffs. And honestly, if you go 2-2 against this schedule, you probably don't deserve to make the playoffs.
Well, the Bengals are
should
playing really good, Mike. The Bengals are playing really good.
That's fine, but you're gonna be disappointed if you lose any of these games, right? Any one of these games that you lose, you're gonna be madly disappointed.
Well, honestly, listen. If they go 3-1, they're definitely the 5 seed. There's no doubt in my mind.
You're going to be disappointed if you lose any of these games. You're going to be disappointed. I don't mean in the totality of, yeah, if we go 3-1, that's great, fine, we're going to make the playoffs. But if you look on a game by game basis, if the Browns next week lose to the Bears, you're going to be disappointed. If they lose to the Texans the next week, you're going to be disappointed. If they lose to the Jets, you're going to be disappointed. And if they lose that last game to the Bengals, if it
What if
means
Aaron Rodgers
something,
plays in that game?
there you go. He might.
And the Jets just beat who the Jets just beat? They just beat
Texans
someone.
in the rain, in the 32-degree rain at what's it called, MetLife Stadium,
Yeah. Great
the
field that is.
Meadowlands. The Meadowlands. Is that still the Meadowlands? Was that the
No,
Meadowlands?
no.
No.
That what used to be. It used to be.
So that's a new arena. That's a new stadium.
It's new-ish, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Listen,
You can never keep track because when they. So what stadium do the Dolphins play in?
Pacific Life.
Is that
I
a
think
new? Is that a new stadium? Or
No,
is that
it's the
Joe
same.
Robbie Stadium? Is that Joe Robbie?
Yeah, they just changed the ownership rights.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Like we're
you
the
can never-
first. Are we still technically First Energy Stadium, or did they rights revert because of the fact that First Energy kind of went bankrupt? And is it back to Cleveland Brown Stadium? I don't even remember.
I
There
have
was
no
talks.
idea. I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Because we were watching the game the other night, the Dolphins game, and I
That was
think
only
Madeline
yesterday,
go-
Mike.
Or
just
no,
so you know.
Cal was that yesterday? And Cal's like, "Is there a roof on that stadium?" I go, "I don't think so." He's like, "I think there is." I'm like, "Is that Joe Robbie Stadium?" I don't think Joe Robbie Stadium had a roof. And then I was like, "I don't even know where they're playing, man. It could be the Orange Bowl for all I know."
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Listen, I feel good. Here's my only concern. Our defense is decimated now. We got more people on the IR today. I don't know if you saw that. The defensive tackle IR. They're talking that Delpit might have to go to the short-term IR and be out for the rest of the regular season. We paid him. He played a really good game, but then he got hurt. You got the Jedrick Wills, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he's better than friggin' Hudson. Who I said to my dad before the game started, and I know you didn't watch the game because you were doing your good deed for the year.
I watched the whole first half, and then I saw bits and pieces of the second half
Listen,
during
I saw James Hudson was starting, and I told my dad, like the first possession, James Hudson guaranteed 3 false starts and a holding penalty before the game's over. What would he end up with, Mike? 4 false starts and a holding penalty. Like, and DeJuan Jones out for the year too.
Yeah.
They're
we're
listen.
definitely being pieced together by band-aids and tape at this point. There's no question.
Listen, you got to give Flacco his flowers. He's played fantastic. He played fantastic again this week. Like, listen.
Wouldn't you rather win with DTR? I'm just in a vacuum. I'm not saying that you should start
No.
DTR.
I just
No?
want to win. I just want to win, baby. Just win, baby.
Okay.
That's all I care about. I don't care
Do you
who's
think,
my
though,
quarterback.
Do you think Flacco has? Do you think that he's got a little Cinderella in him that at some point that is just gonna all just evaporate? I feel like he's been really good. I mean,
He looks
been as
sneaky
good as you
athletic.
he's been as good as you could possibly expect him to be. I think one of the benefits of him coming in at this point is he hasn't taken any hits over the course of the season. And maybe that's what keeps him upright for the next 4, 5, 6 games, whatever the Browns theoretically have left. But I don't like the fact that I know he's been able to move around a little bit in the pocket, but I feel like in the NFL today, if you have a quarterback who can't run for on 3rd and 8, that can't run for a first down, I'm not that scared of those dudes. I just feel like you have to be able to run. I feel like as a quarterback, you have to be able to pick up a 3rd and 8 with your feet. And I don't think Flacco's going to be able to do that. And look, don't get me wrong. He's been great. I understand why they're going to start him for the rest of the year. It's something about it feels wrong to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe because he was a Raven for so long. I know you don't care, and I know I shouldn't care, but part of me is
Listen,
like, just,
Mike,
man,
2
just put
years ago
DTR
you were
out there.
complaining about Baker Mayfield, okay? Let's remember this. Let's remember
Baker
this.
Mayfield stinks. Baker Mayfield stinks.
Hey, he got another dub. That team is in first place of the NFC South, Mike. That wonderful gauntlet that is the NFC South.
6 and 7. That division is atrocious. Atrocious. All right. Well, I don't know. Look. Like
Okay,
I said,
if you had to hedge your bets, Mike, here hedge your bets. How many AFC North teams make the playoffs?
I think 2.
Who are the Ravens and who? Us? Are you
Browns have to
willing?
make it. I mean, they have to make it. If they don't make it, this will be as bad. If they don't make the playoffs this year, it will be as bad of a collapse as anything we've ever seen because they're playing four teams that, like I said, each one of those individual games looked at on a one-on-one basis are all games that if you come out of those games losing, you're going to be, as a fan base, you're going to be distraught that you lost those games. You just are.
I mean, and you think about it, Mike. The games that we've lost, like the only one that there's like two of the five that we've lost, we were out of. The other three games we could have easily won. We could theoretically easily be sitting here right now with as crappy of luck as we've had with injuries and everything. We could be sitting here at 11-2 right now. Like
If this team was healthy, there's no doubt. Look, the defense is as good as any defense we've seen in Cleveland in a long, 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 long time. And I've been saying it all season that if you get even above average, slightly above average quarterback play, that
well,
this team could win a Super Bowl with slightly above average quarterback play. And I don't know if they can do it now because I think the defense has been weakened just enough
well,
where it's not totally dominant.
there's rumors that when a former Lion might be reunited with Jim Schwartz, Mike. He's been sitting in the free agents. Ndamukong Suh.
Oh, nice.
There's been rumors.
I'd take Suh.
Now,
I'd take
he's
Suh.
36 and
It's
he
all
hasn't played it all this year.
Hey, bring him in. I'm all right with it. I liked it when he was on the line.
As long as he doesn't step on someone's throat or something, I don't need that.
He's an ornery sort of guy.
He's not quite Draymond, but
Nah, he's close. He was close. He was definitely close. He was definitely close to that. All right. Anything else?
Hey, no, I'm good, Mike. I'm good.
All right. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks for sticking with us through a little Browns football talk. I know that all of our NBA fans out there really love to hear us talk about the Browns. But hey, it's for Jay. So thank you for checking this out tonight. We really appreciate it. And to everyone out there, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on our next episode.